This episode of the Boss Rush Podcast is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support our family of podcasts, head over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia or search for us on the Patreon app on your smart device. Thanks for helping us build something better. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Dirrig, and alongside me, as always, is the PC Muscle Race himself, LeRon Dawkins.
Gamers, what's poppin'?
Hi, LeRon. I like your pink shirt.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it looks good on you.
I want to bring a little bit of color. Yeah, you know, I have that skin tone that works with pink, but not every shade of pink works with my skin tone. So you know, it was one of those things, and like it took a lot of like picking this shirt out like when I was shopping, because I was like, I do want a couple of pink shirts and stuff. So like, yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, I wanted to bring a little bit of different color to it. And, you know, not just like my bare naked shoulders, like like people always see all the time.
Oh yeah, because we were receiving tons of complaints about that.
Yeah,
I bet you are. Like, I mean, it's not the Boss Rush Podcast about being called the Thirst Trap Podcast too. You know.
Yep, that's actually the catchphrase for this podcast is the Thirst Trap, the flagship Thirst Trap of the. Also joining us is the Mad Pharmacist herself, Stephanie Klimov.
Hi, I'm sad. My neighbor's dog died.
Oh no!
Oh, what type of dog was it?
It was a German Shepherd.
Oh.
She was so sweet, and I go for my runs every day, and my neighbor flagged me down, which I thought was unusual, and he goes, I know you're really close to her, but we had to put Sadie down. I'm like, no! So I'm sad. But I'm happy I'm here.
I'm happy you're here too. I mean, keep talking about dead dogs.
I don't know. It was the first thing that came to my mind.
Oh man. Well, guys, we have a really special guest here tonight. I started following our guest a couple years ago because he does something really interesting. He does a few things that are really interesting, but also I kept following him because when he tweets, it's usually something really inspirational and very leadership like, and I really admire that about our guest. Our guest is Chris Davis, the founder of the Black Gamer League and founder of Phorce Management. Welcome, Chris. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Happy to
welcome
back on the Boss Rush Network. So it's all good.
Your shirt's awesome, by the way.
No, I appreciate it. It's like one of my favorite shirts. Probably like my favorite Black Panther shirt. Honestly,
it's really cool.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
it's dope. It's dope. Had to bring it out.
Awesome. So yeah, we're actually going to talk about you for a couple minutes here. We are going to kick off the conversation. Our interview host, Celeste Roberts, she wrote in, she said, I'd love to hear what inspired Chris to be a part of these organizations. So you founded these organizations.
Yeah.
What inspired you to found these organizations?
So the short end to a long story. So I'll give you out a quick version. So I'm also a professor, a sport management professor at a HBCU called Livingstone College in Salisbury, North Carolina.
Wow.
So as I'm teaching, you know, I'm in these kids' faces on a daily. African American students, everyone games, just like we know, everyone games. But I was realizing that my students didn't know that they could make a career out of gaming or the gaming industry. They were just playing for fun like everyone else does. But I was aware of esports. This is probably, I started teaching back in 2017. It's probably like 2018 that I started teaching about esports in the class. So I, from there, once I realized my students didn't know, I was like, there are probably a lot of other people that don't know and or know how to get in contact with people that know about the industry. So I was like, okay, well, these kids want opportunity. I'm going to start a Phorce management group. That's like a lot came behind that. But when I started Phorce, it was all about helping content creators that, you know, don't really have a path, find their niche and, you know, build something out of nothing like I did. then I went to, like, because I'm at a HBCU dealing with African American students, I was like, well, I know there are a lot of gamers, but I don't know if they know about the professions and all the connections that they can have. So, long story short, I made the Black Gamer League just as a networking community. I started it on Facebook, and then I moved to Twitter, and that's when we really picked up steam. Started finding, organically, we have about 3,000 people on Twitter. Um, and kind of fit the demographic of what the Black Gamer League is about. And it's kind of just grown from there. I didn't start out trying to make it this big thing, but it's helped a lot of people, and I'm kind of happy the path that I've gone down.
Yeah, it it never starts out as something you plan on it being some big thing, as I think as the three of us and the people that we work with have kind of found out that, you start something because you want to help people or you want to do something creative and then it just explodes.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
that's
oh, sorry.
oh, go ahead, Stephanie.
No, I don't want to be cliche or mushy or anything, but it is inspirational that you say that, and I get to learn about you and what you do because, and it's not just the gaming industry, but every industry kind of just, I don't know. You when you think of the stereotypical gamer, we know that gaming, although it has its wonderful parts, there is kind of a lot of toxic groups out there. Again, it's not limited to just gaming industry, but gaming has been notorious for that. And not just maybe perhaps people of color, for example, but also like female gamers. Like it's tough to find, people of like-mindedness without being subjected to the toxic parts of the community. So hearing that and being able to be that point of contact where people can connect and enjoy what they all have in common, I think that's great.
No, thank you. I appreciate that because that's exactly what it's all about.
Mhm.
Literally, just that community aspect. I really did not know what it was going to become, but once it kind of morphed into that community, I was like, oh, this is great for multiple reasons. And even if we're affecting one person, it kind of uh, you know makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So I like
Yeah.
it.
It's super cool. I mean, like I said, I've been following you because I think you do a lot of great things from a leadership perspective and I mean, not that we interact a whole lot, but I I really just admire what you're doing and the fact that there's all this cool stuff behind it is super cool. And I didn't even know that you were a professor either, which is I mean, that's cool in and of itself. But uh
I
yeah,
appreciate it, bro. Thank you, thank you. That's all I can say. I appreciate it seriously.
yeah, and we can talk off air at some point, but like anything that we can do to help promote it too, throw an ad in a podcast or obviously just basic retweeting stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think what you're doing is great. We have another question from longtime listener Deshaun Malone. He asks, "What kinds of things do the Black Gamer League promote? What are you all aiming for?"
Good question. So basically we promote anything that is so it started as a networking community, but now it's like kind of morphed into not just being about gamers, but being about Black content creators in general, entertainers in general, any artistic, people are doing cosplay, people are artists, people are musicians. We're kind of supporting the whole spectrum, and connecting everybody. So, but beyond making those networking, you know, things happen, we're all about networking in the sense of pairing people up. So, it's not just let's get together and game, is let's build, let's get people on projects together, let's basically make sure that we're not shut out of a industry that is white male dominated, especially on the profession side. So, a lot of times we have gatekeepers that will stop our people from getting
Mhm.
to certain areas. But I realize that we don't necessarily have to go through those gatekeepers. The industry is so vast, large. It's kind of like the Wild Wild West still. Um, you can make something out of nothing. So if you all have the key and the ability to do it, why not partner up? So that's kind of like the mission and the goals. So anything that we do is kind of surrounded around that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've tried to even building up boss rush stuff, I've tried to kind of build up some other creators, and I mean, as a white male who is content creating, I realize that I don't go through a lot of other things that other people go through, right? Whether it's racism or sexism or I mean, we're seeing a lot of stuff with the LGBTQ side, and especially with Harry Potter stuff right now, right? With Hogwarts Legacy. And when my friend Ed and I started this, and Jesse to an extent, I was like, I don't care who people are or what they look like. I just, if they want to create something, we should just let them help us and let them do something. That was kind of like the overall goal. And like, I mean, obviously Stephanie and LeRon are here now. They don't look like me. They don't, I mean, but again, that kind of
We
happened.
don't. We don't.
I mean, LeRon, we're basically brothers, but no, I'm just saying, like, I think we've built a really good, strong leadership community that's diverse in an organic way, because we want to have people who are different but also are like-minded. And I think that's why we're all here today, and that's why I like really respect what you're doing, and love what you're doing, and I think it's awesome.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, the Black Gamer League especially has opened my eyes to a bunch of different things as well. Like, I had an idea before I started everything. I had an idea of the things that girl gamers would go through, and it's like, once I got into a community where I had many more come and express, and I saw it firsthand, it started opening my eyes to like it's not just like Steph was saying, it's not necessarily just about Black gamers. It's more so about minorities in gaming in general, because we all kind of have our things that are similar that we go through, and our own differences of things that we go through. So it's kind of opened my eyes. So I'm just different things with that.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thanks again for coming on. I've been wanting to ask you to come on for a while, and then we finally got it done. So I think what you're doing is great. I think you're great, and I'm glad you're here to podcast with us. So we're gonna talk about what we've been playing. Chris, since you're our guest, we're gonna start with you. What are you playing? What's cool? What's in your platform of choice, I guess?
Yeah, so disclaimer, every game that I play now can be cut off within seconds because my kids run my life. So
Yep.
I can't just sit down like I used to and really dive in. So I'm a big franchise player on Madden. I'm a sport management professor, so like I go through and I do like all the finance and stuff, all the nerd stuff in the game, actually running the teams. I do that.
I have to
Yeah.
before we get into it, I have to talk about Madden real quick.
Okay.
So I used to love Madden. I used to buy it every year. I used to run franchise mode into the ground. I used to play online all the time. And then somewhere in the mid 360 to maybe beginning of the PS4 Xbox One generation, Madden started not feeling right. Like, I mean, on an old podcast I used to do, we used to talk about how we wish we had like Madden 2004 remastered or something with updated graphics, right? Because like running the ball felt great, playing defense felt great, and now there's just, not that the animations and everything aren't impressive, but I feel like sometimes there's too many animations going on to where like, oh, I used to be able to pick the ball off when but then you have to have like the lunge, jump, grab animation to the point where it's like late or you're out of position. Have they fixed Madden? Because like I have Game Pass, so I downloaded the 10-hour trial. I download 10-hour trial every year to try to figure out if I'm going to actually play Madden this year. And every year it's like, I don't know, maybe. And then I'll play a couple games online, and then everybody will quit online, and then I'll start a franchise mode. And have they fixed Madden?
I say yeah. So specifically, what you're talking about was it was like a cheese jump move where you can defend or you can defend really well. But
Mhm.
uh, in my opinion, I think they have, especially with next gen. The next gen Madden is like it's great to me. It's great to me. They fix all the little bugs. It's more realistic. And like I said, I play franchise mode and I play online mode majority of the time. So it's real smooth. It's fun to play. Honestly, I think it's good. I haven't stopped playing.
So they just added Madden 23 to Game Pass. I should probably download it then, huh?
I say yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Um, so my game playlist right now is really weird, but like I said, it's because of that kid rule I just told you about. So the next game that I play majority of the time is actually an older game, Worldcraft 3.
Mm.
So like I play Warcraft and just get on there and just go against the computer all day, then go online and get killed and then stay with the computer. So my
That
thing are
sounds
the
fair.
elves. So it's like a really random game that I don't really hear a lot of other people playing. I'm not playing World of Warcraft. I'm playing Warcraft 3. So
Yeah, I
Nice.
had to make sure I heard you correctly when you said that just now. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
yeah,
And
Warcraft 3 is dope. I've been playing it man since I was a teenager. It's one of my favorite games. So once I got I have an Asus gaming computer. Once I got the gaming computer, I just started playing it and downloaded it again and been addicted. Easy to play.
Nice. There's always that one game that sticks with you throughout life, and it's always like good comfort food to go back to, right?
mhm.
Exactly. I just like building.
Hmm.
Same thing with franchise mode, anything like that. It's like building. So it's
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah, I used to be a huge Age of Empires fan, and that's the same thing for me where I would
Yeah,
like
yeah.
go in and just I'm like I don't want anybody to attack me. I just want to build my little civilization here, which I realize that now that I was actually playing the wrong game. I probably should have just been playing Civilization or SimCity or something. Uh, then I got really into Roller Coaster Tycoon, which I still go back to from time to time. Uh,
Love those games.
yeah,
Love those type of games.
yeah. Roller Coaster Tycoon was awesome, and then they announced the Switch version. I was like, yeah. Then I was like, oh, it's on Switch. It's probably not gonna be great. And spoiler alert: Roller Coaster Tycoon Adventures for Switch is not good.
Say
What?
spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Oh man, how can you mess something like that up?
I don't know. And then they ported Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 to Switch, which was a little bit better, but also pretty terrible. So
Ah,
you win some, you lose some, I guess. Uh,
Yeah, like those Sim City games are like addicted to me.
mm.
yeah,
So like all those types of games.
I
Yeah,
know.
I
Get
love
lost
me a good
hours to just playing and building. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love me a good SimCity game. I love it. I'm messing around with city skylines and it's so daunting, but it's so satisfying when you get it up and rolling.
yeah. Man, I could never sit and play those games anymore just because again, two small children and other things going on now that like I don't have time for that stuff, but once in a while I'll go back. So,
It's gonna keep calling you back every time.
I know. I've been thinking about Roller Coaster Tycoon a lot lately because Disney World just opened that Tron roller coaster, and I'm like,
Mm.
oh man, I want to ride that. But then I was like, oh man, I should probably just build it in Roller Coaster Tycoon and see what happens. But
I'm definitely trying to go to Disney with the kids. Like they all those rides, man. I haven't been in years, like years. So
Oh,
I'm
so
gonna
this
take
would
my
be a
kids
first
and
trip with your kids?
yeah.
Whenever you
First big trip I would call it because we're definitely probably have to get on the plane, go to Florida. We're in North
Oh,
Carolina.
mhm.
mm, yeah, it's we just went last year with my kids, and it was aside from the 2 days we got stuck in the random hurricane that happened.
Mm.
It was really fun. So
It's all right. The first big trip I wanna take with my son, might not be able to do Disney, so I'm doing the next best thing, which for him might be the better thing, is Super Nintendo World. I still
mm,
got my eyes on bringing him
Oh,
there.
that's fire. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good choice.
Yeah. Did you? I mean, not that we're going to talk about that, but did you see all like the weird size restrictions on some of the rides?
I heard
Not that I'm sure you and your child will have size problems, but
you never know. No, I mean, I heard about like it in headlines. I just didn't bother really reading or looking into it. I mean, I probably will as I book, just in case. You never know. Like if you have to be a certain height, I want to make sure you can do some of that stuff. But I know part of it has to do with like your width. I don't know,
mhm.
like something, but
Yeah, the Mario Kart ride has like a 40-inch waist requirement, where if you're larger than that, you can't ride it.
Oh man.
Apparently, so which is fine. Which is nothing. So side tangent. So I live just south of Cleveland, so Cedar Point is like the big amusement park around here. And there were points where I thought I wasn't going to be able to ride any of the rides up there, not because I was too fat, but like my shoulders are wide, so like the shoulder harnesses wouldn't come down all the way, and they would have to like push and click. And it was, I'm sure if there were cell phones around, my roller coaster clicky shoulder things would be going some viral videos or something. But you know,
Not
so
the
anyway,
viral videos because you can't get in the seat.
yeah, man, it's rough. It's rough out there being large. It's okay.
True. True.
It's okay. You know, I was trying, and then we got pizza this weekend, and then work bought us lunch yesterday, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is I gotta get back on track here. I was doing okay. Now I'm not, but you know.
It happens quick. It happens real quick.
Yeah, look, when work buys you pizza, man, you can't say no.
yeah, you eat that pizza.
I did. It was really good too. It was like New York style pizza from this place called Luca's, and it's just it was really good. Wasn't quite New York pizza, but it was close enough. It was fine. LeRon, what are you playing? Save us from these tangent holes.
Well, you guys already know I'm still playing the Dead Space remake. Nearly done with it. I'm in chapter 10, so I have 2 chapters left after I complete this chapter. But I just started doing, because there's side missions in the Dead Space remake, and that's different from the original game. So I've started doing all the side missions, and I've gotten to the point now where like I've done every side mission I can, because like I'm locked by story content now, so I can't progress to the next phase of the side mission stuff. But man, the game is amazing. And remember last week I was talking about how like they incorporate a lot of the lore, the extended lore
hmm
from the entire Dead Space franchise into it. There's Easter eggs for Dead Space 2 in there, including audio of the opening moments of Dead Space 2. It is
Really?
crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And you know what? That's not a spoiler, because you have to think, because anyone that's familiar with Dead Space 2, you have to think about like the entire like opening of Dead Space 2 to even have an idea of what I may be talking about. So it's not a spoiler. It's just a nice Easter egg in there, and it's awesome. And the more and more they keep fleshing out the story, the more and more I'm like, man, I have a funny feeling EA Motive is already working on a Dead Space 2 remake
Mm.
sequel. Dead Space 2 remake sequel, however you want to call it. I feel like they're doing that because like Dead Space was the number one selling game for January. The number one selling game of all the stuff that came out in January, and we know those last 2 weeks of January was a stacked week, was stacked for that month. You know, like it was the number one selling game, stuff like that. So yeah, so there's that. Still messing around with Metroid Prime Remastered, but I'm not sinking that much time into it because I want to complete Dead Space Remake so I can get on to like doing a review for it. I need to capture some content for it because I want to do an actual video review as well, stuff like that. And jump back on the Monster Hunter because Title Update 4 dropped last week. Was last week or the week before last? I think it was the week before last, but I finally wanted to see some of the new content and stuff like that because like Monster Hunter is my jam. You guys know that, the return of Velkhana, who was introduced in Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and like some new additions to some older monsters and stuff like that. Yeah, that was my thing. And speaking of Monster Hunter, you and Stephanie kind of know how I am about about Monster Hunter clones, but I think I'm going to give Wild Hearts a try tomorrow. What's kind of aggravating me is that I'm going to have I've always had a problem with Monster Hunter clones. Like they never scratch the itch. Like Capcom just perfected the formula, and other people have tried to copy it or do their own things with it and whatnot. And it just has never like clicked with me. Like think of like Soul Sacrifice for PS Vita. The what's the freaking I always call it Code Arms, but that's not it. It's a series. It got like 4 games. Like it started on PS Vita and then kind of just like kept going. I got it. Okay. Yes. Oh, that's the game. God Eater. Like I think there's 4 games, 4 God Eater games. I know for sure there's 3, but I think there's 4. And like it didn't matter, especially because like when Monster Hunter made the jump to from PlayStation Portable to Nintendo DS, like it kind of left a hole because like I was not ready to buy a Nintendo handheld at the time and stuff like that. So it kind of left a hole there. So I was dabbling with all these Monster Hunter clones, and none of them was just ever scratching the itch and stuff like that. So going back to this Wild Hearts game, I'm seeing a lot of it, and I'm like, some people are with because like the review embargo like lifts tomorrow morning for the game. Like it's February 15th right now. The game will be out February 16th by the time everyone's heard this is hearing this podcast. I'm hearing like some people are starting to say like, hey, like this is looking like a really good game. We have an early copy and people have played over 80 hours of the game. I'm like, I hate you guys because I would just love to be able to get in on one of these play tests and whatnot and stuff like that. So but I'm hearing some of the people who absolutely love Monster Hunter saying like this is a good way to play Monster Hunter without playing Monster Hunter. And so I'm kind of curious. My only problem is like it's a brand new Monster Hunter clone, quote unquote. I don't know if I'm ready to spend $70 for it. I don't know, but I feel like, and I know we talked about this a couple episodes ago in Boss Rush, like that FOMO factor. Oh my God. I'm kind of feeling it right now. And if I wind up spending $70 for a game and I only play like 15 hours of it, I'm going to be so mad. A game that has like massive replayability, because Monster Hunter, like I dare say I have over 500 hours sunk into Rise and Sunbreak, and that's the current Monster Hunter game.
Well, LeRon, I think you should count the number of articles that you've been writing, because there's a reward system for a certain number of articles that you write where you can get a game.
Is that going on for this? Is that going on for the month of February?
It's been going on like always.
Yeah.
Oh, it has? Okay, I thought it was just like a certain time specific one. But you know what? Don't tempt me, because you guys know I can roll out some articles when I want to.
Hey, blocks renewed. Well, not renewed. Blocks like cashed in on that. I cashed in on it. That's how I got my like Far Cry 6.
I won one of those months. I remember that. I won one of those months.
Okay, well, just saying,
Yeah,
because there's going to be a lot of $70 purchases this year. So
I know, right? This is only mid-February, and like March is coming, and I've already dubbed it March Madness. As a matter of fact, every week that we talk about games on Crossroads in the month of March is just going to be March Madness week.
Wow.
Yeah, because we have a new and notable games segment on the Crossroads podcast that we basically spotlight like games that are coming out on every week and stuff like that, and we talk about the ones that we think should be on your radar and stuff like that. So yeah, like it's just gonna be March Madness the entire month. But that's everything I've been playing. So yeah, Dead Space remake, which I will probably have. I hope to have beat by the end of the weekend, because like
Nice.
I'm enjoying it. I like the average player like me that plays games like this, I would have already beaten that game by now. Like I probably would beat the game like a week after it came out and stuff like that. But I've been enjoying it, and also like I'm an adult, so I have adult things to do. So I have to work. I have to like tend to a relationship. I have to make sure that the house stays lit up and has power and heat and all that stuff. So you gotta do those things. So sometimes, and I produce a couple of podcasts a week. So there's that. Yeah. So, but hopefully I'll get some downtime between after I beat Dead Space to play more of the Metroid Prime remaster, because you know what? This is the game I was asking for, but this is the game. This is the game I did not know I fucking needed until they dropped it last week.
Can we talk about Metroid Prime real quick? Like,
go.
So, okay, so all we've been talking about, I feel like, on Boss Rush since I think like maybe Bayonetta came out, right? Bayonetta 3, or I mean, we talk about it often, but like Bayonetta 3, Pokemon, performance issues, Mario plus Rabbids, that kind of thing, like just performance issues and the Switch not being powerful enough. And when you put Metroid Prime in, and I know it's a GameCube remaster, but like all the art's been reworked, and Iron Galaxy did a lot of asset flips, and Samus is a different character model, and they made it
Pause
widescreen.
for a second. Iron Galaxy. I was talking trash about them because I felt like they did not do justice to the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves port for the PC. I'm not sure who they did it for PlayStation 5, but I know for sure like they did it for PS4. And I was talking about some things, and I was like, man, like Iron Galaxy, why didn't Nixus just do this one? But here Iron Galaxy did this Metroid Prime remaster. Okay, changes my opinion about those guys right now.
Well,
Right now.
we the fact that this game is running at full 1080p and 60 frames a second
60 frames.
flawlessly, with like new assets and new renders of models and everything. It's just like this game is running on the Nintendo Switch. This looks like a modern FPS. Like, okay, yeah, granted, it has an art style to it that lends itself well to Nintendo, and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But like that opening cinematic, when you see the planet, when you see Town 4, and you see the asteroids tumbling through space, and you see the lighting on the asteroids, and then like the camera pulls back and you see the space station for the first time, and Samus's ship fly in and she jumps out, right? And like this game looks incredible, and it plays incredible.
So much nostalgia, and the crazy part is like I will finally get a chance to beat the game because you guys know I have a horrible track record of buying games, starting them, and never beating them. But
Shocker.
I have a very good feeling that this game is finally getting beaten.
Yeah, it's man, a lot of scanning though. You could have done with like 40% less scanning. But,
I don't remember that much scanning, and trust me, I played a good grip of it on the GameCube.
yeah,
And speaking of, let's think about this for a second. The GameCube is a system that it only had 24 megabytes of
Mhm.
memory.
Yeah.
So the Switch with all its available RAM and stuff, like now, like man, like it looks like a masterpiece.
Yeah, this game is incredible. If you have a Switch, you should probably check out Metroid Prime. It's
Yeah, like
man,
for real.
I can't believe how good it looks and runs. Like I thought at this visual fidelity it would run at 30 frames, right? Which is like what I expect on Switch. No. This game.
Yeah. I was shocked. I was like, this is moving like 60 frames. This is moving like 60 frames. And
Mhm.
and then I saw like it wasn't Digital Foundry did the breakdown, it was somebody else. MVG, Modern Video Gamer.
Mhm.
And he broke it down and he was like, this is running in 1080 And I was like, woo!
Yeah.
I didn't want to believe it.
Yeah. And it feels like even
the Switch has 4 gigs of RAM versus 24 megabytes of RAM on the GameCube. So just think of that. Think of all that power that just got pumped into a game. How old is that? How old is Corey? You know how
21 years old.
Yo, 21 years. Oh my god, is it that old?
Samus can drink now.
Samus can drink now.
Responsibly, everybody.
Yeah, but yeah, like the scanning, like there's a lot of scanning, and I don't remember all that scanning. It's
Oh man, yeah.
I think the scanning is how they padded the time in the game, though.
I'm
I really
sure.
do.
Yeah, well, there's not that much scanning in 2. Definitely not 3. 3 is just
Yeah.
full on a third person or a first person shooter at that point. But this has me excited about not only remasters for 2 and 3, but like what are they going to do with 4? You know. So, but yeah,
Yo, they need to
sorry, I didn't mean to
remaster.
steal your thunder with Metroid.
I trust them with remastering the rest of the Metroid Prime trilogy, and like hopefully well, I feel like they've just been porting like all the older Nintendo games anyway. So but dude, if
Well, yeah, they're
I'm
prepping.
telling you, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, bring it on, bring it.
Here's the thing. Ed and I were kind of talking about this the other day on, I don't know if the episode released or not yet, on Next Gen Nintendo, and I think the next system's coming in the spring of 2025. They have
That's my feeling too. That's my feeling too.
2 years of space to fill with games, and Metroid Prime 4 is going to be the swan song. I think you're gonna get a lot of B tier stuff like Pikmin and maybe another Paper Mario and stuff like that, 40 more Kirby games and stuff like that.
What is the deal with them in Kirby? I don't get it.
I don't know. But then I think you're gonna start seeing, and we already are starting to see it, a lot of GameCube, Wii era HD remasters, right? Like Metroid Prime and Bat and
Mhm.
Kaitos is getting remastered, and Tales of Symphonia is getting remastered. We're getting Professor Layton stuff, right? Like that era, I think you're gonna see a lot of remasters. And my thought is Tears of the Kingdom is this year. Next spring, you're gonna get either Wind Waker or Twilight Princess, and then next fall you're gonna get one of the other ones.
Mm.
Is my prediction. And then
Yeah.
obviously Metroid Prime 2 and 3 somewhere in there. I still think Pikmin 1 and 2 are coming at some point. Like that whole era, man, getting remastered. Anyways.
Yeah.
I just need to pop my Switch up and download a new game, because when I tell you I open my Switch and I go straight to Super Nintendo and play Donkey Kong Country, because that was my first game that I ever beat in my life, and it's like addictive and nostalgic to just go back to it. I need to play something new, but that's all I do on my Switch.
I mean, that's fair.
Speaking
That's
of
what
playing
most people
old school
do.
games, speaking of playing old school games on the Switch, yo, I ran so fast to play Super Mario 3 on the Game Boy Advance emulator. It's incredible. Like I had Nintendo ADD last week following that direct, because like if it wasn't Metroid Prime, it was Super Mario 3 Advance. If it wasn't Super Mario 3 Advance, it was the Minish Cap. If it
Yeah.
was
Plus you look at what's coming, right? Like Zero Mission and Fusion for Metroid. Like Metroid Zero Mission is a legit amazing game.
That was our first real like taste of Nintendo like remaking a game.
Well, I mean, you could technically say that was Super Mario All-Stars on Super Nintendo, but
Yeah, no, because I feel like all they did, I feel like it was more of a reskin
no, those games
than
feel totally different. It's
it's
terrible.
the Game Boy Advance games. It's the Game Boy Advance games that feel more remastered than.
Yeah. But that version of Mario 2 on Game Boy Advance is it's the best version.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
I think all those Game Boy Advance Super Mario games are like they're like the bar.
Yeah. Man, so many things. Stephanie, we were talking about Zelda. LeBron brought up Zelda himself, and you weren't even here to talk about it.
I'm sorry.
know.
I learned that my son was having a really difficult time, so I had to step away and take care of him.
That's
Is
fair.
he good now?
He's good for now. Yeah, I just got a kind of an alarming email from the teacher, and if she'd sent it sooner, I would have addressed it before I put him to bed. So I wanted to take a couple minutes to kind of just talk to him to make sure he's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't one of those type of talks.
Oh, no, he didn't do anything wrong, but he had apparently a very bad day at school, and I just like,
Mhm.
wow, like I didn't want to be a terrible parent and just spend the whole afternoon with him without even asking him. Like,
Yeah.
there was a little bit of like, not big at that age, huge bullying, but it had to do with a little bit of bullying and feeling a little overwhelmed. So I was like, ooh, I better check in before he falls asleep. Sorry, now y'all need to know
You know
that.
what bothers me? You know what bothers me about bullying and stuff like that? Like the kids who are doing the bullying never get never get their shit checked by an adult. But the moment your kid defends himself from a bully, all of a sudden the teachers want to do something.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, it's too late at that point. Look, you either come after the bully or you and I are gonna fight at that point. Me, if I was a parent, like I have no kids, so I'd just putting all this, I'd be putting the entire school, like the school district, everybody that's involved on notice.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
what happened when this jerk was terrorizing my child for half the school year?
Yeah.
Mhm.
100%.
Stephanie, what are you playing?
I am playing a Zelda title. I had a bit of gaming ADD too because of the direct, but I finally fired up the Minish Cap. I'm still I'm in the first temple.
It's one of my favorites.
It's one of the best.
I've always loved the top down era of Legend of Zelda and the Minish Cap. I feel like the Minish Cap was the high note following Link to the Past.
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard people talk about it, and that even though that game's not really recognized like in a popular sense like Ocarina of Time or Breath of the
I don't
Wild.
understand
But
why.
like a lot of the real Zelda enthusiasts said Minish Cap is just a gem, like an underrated gem. So like I never played it because I just couldn't. I didn't have the Game Boy Advance. That was just something not intentionally skipped. Given my age and budget, like various factors, I missed out on that. And
Mm.
that's why I'm happy that there are a lot of these games that either are being remade that I missed or being ported to. So I'm like right on it. When the Oracle games come out, guess what? I'll be playing the Oracle games. So there's all
Oh
these
yes.
extra Zelda titles and I'm a Zelda lover that I can finally have it. Minish Cap, perfect. And yes, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And I'm obviously still kind of early, but I'm loving it. I love the music. I love the graphics. It's a lot of fun.
You know what's funny about all three titles you just brought up? The Oracle games and Minish Cap?
Made by Capcom.
All Capcom Zelda games.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Capcom, man.
In other words, Nintendo needs to hand Zelda over to Capcom.
I don't know about
2D.
At
hands
least,
over.
at least the
Mhm.
2D and the 2.5D versions.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind another 2D Zelda from Capcom.
Agree. But yeah, so that's one part. I'm still keeping up with Last of Us for the show, but I've kind of slowed down. Like I played the heck out of it to reach a certain point where I can kind of take a couple episodes off. Um, because I've put most of my hours into Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know, Corey, if I need to make a disclaimer every time I talk about Hogwarts Legacy
Nope.
about the whole separating the artist from the art and blah 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 and all that stuff. I'm not trying to like make light of it. It's just that I really don't know if this is something I have to say every time beforehand. Yes, LeRon.
Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's just squash that thing right now. It is obviously apparent that because of the way the game has pre-sold, and all the stream time that's been put into the game, and it's gonna sound weird when I say it like this. Gamers have a different priority, So it's all these other jackasses out there that are trying to make a stand, and like it's really simple to like break this down, like where's your battle at, because like if you're gonna turn around and battle all this stuff, you're not the same. You're telling us gamers to boycott like a game, and you guys already know how I feel. Like games have stakes. Like if a game doesn't sell, a company's probably getting shut down. A developing company's probably getting shut down. People are already getting out of job, and I already know semantics of like how like the gaming economy works. Like these guys have already been paid, and most of them are going to get laid off anyway if they're not already working on a new title for that same
Oh,
development
the
company and
way
stuff like
the
that.
way this game sold, this game's getting a sequel, hands
Oh,
down.
I know this game's getting a sequel, and if people had already been let go early, they've probably already been called back, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that being said, like where is this energy? Where's this energy? Like y'all should be in masses like boycotting Chick-fil-A. Y'all should be in masses like
Mhm.
outside these damn churches that are always like spewing this nonsense about LGBTQ stuff.
Or if you're talking about like any video game stuff, like what happened to any game that came out of Activision Blizzard? Like
Oh, I
people are
know.
still buying their games.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
worst one. Is like everybody's like, I'm
Mhm.
boycotting it, and then 2 months
So
later, Diablo 2 remaster came out and sold like 6 million copies
yeah.
in 2 weeks, and
But LeRon,
I was
I
like,
kind of like
And here's
how you
and
want to
here's the
put
well,
that
well,
statement.
hold on.
I'm sorry.
Let me just finish this. And here's the main thing, right? If this is all about J.K. Rowling, why the fuck aren't y'all running up in up on J.K. Rowling's house and like boycotting her ass? Why do you have to take it out on a form of entertainment that just it might be tied into her, but J.K. Rowling didn't write this video game. She didn't program one drop of code for the game. She didn't even loan like concepts and ideas for how these characters are supposed to look. And guess what? Like everybody looks like really everybody looks like really like androgynous characters anyway in the character creator. I've seen people go into
they're
the character creator and people can't make a distinctly male or female looking character. Like
Mhm.
they all look like a blend of the
Well, they don't
genders and stuff like that.
they don't ask you to pick
Mhm.
a gender. They ask you to pick a
Hmm.
portrait, and you can have a female looking character with a male voice if you want,
Yeah.
and facial hair. And it's like,
But but but
here's the
newsflash,
thing.
like
Interesting.
Here's the
almost
thing.
every game now in this day and age has that now. You can have a gender bent, character now. So
Yeah.
what's the big deal?
Here's the thing. It's probably easier to program that way too, where like, oh, well, I can only have these assets for female characters and these assets for male characters too, right? And like another thing I brought up last week is like when they're talking about your character, they use they to describe you and not he or she. It's they. And I'm like, so I'm not defending or fighting on the J.K. Rowling thing, right? I've just had this thought where, like, for somebody who's so pro, like the L the LGB part of the LGBTQ community, why is the T so hard to
Yo, that's
like,
all.
I don't know.
Wow,
It's
we lost Corey.
something I've thought about, and like,
How'd that happen?
Oh, he's back.
Oh, there you go.
Corey, what happened? You good? He can't hear us.
if you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/bossrushmedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support. Here. Anyways, Stephanie, you can continue.
Oh, yeah, sure. So I'm just going to make my one-time disclaimer, and I'm not going to re-explain myself. So first of all, everyone has their own right to their own opinion. That seems like the most obvious thing ever, but I feel like I have to talk to a bunch of, like, 5-year-olds. I hate to say it when that happens, because I've seen people on the internet that are literally using the word Nazi, and I don't think the word Nazi is a word that you should be throwing around lightly. Yeah, maybe there might be some actual real Nazi-like people out there, but my point is there's certain words, certain terms that you just don't sling around willy-nilly. And some people I've have followed, well, not like because of that they're literally calling the devs Nazis. I'm like, that's kind of a stretch to call the dev the Nazi.
Shit.
And
Right.
I innocently asked. I didn't try. I was like, "Oh, what's your definition of calling someone a Nazi or something like that?" Well, they're making a game that's blah 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 J.K. Rowling, and therefore they are a Nazi. I'm like, that doesn't make a lot of logical sense.
I don't
So
think these people know what Nazi means.
exactly. So it's anyway.
Also, they didn't make this game for J.K. Rowling. They made this game for us, the gamers.
Well, they made it because WB owns the property and they want to make lots of money.
There's that. There's that. I was trying to be a little more, I don't know, consumer friendly.
There's no point to hide it, man. WB wants to make lots of money.
Well, but yeah, there's just something that bugs me when, people are like calling other people Nazis when they're not really a Nazi. I'm like, save that for the real shitheads out there. But anyway, my choice to play the game one, yes, I did grow up with the Harry Potter universe, and I want to be able to enjoy the art even if separated from the artist. Like I'm a person that does affiliate to that belief, and I could. I'm going to eventually write an editorial because this is a conversation that could go hours, right? But I also take the approach of what if a person that came from a different reality stepped in, picked up the controller, and played Hogwarts Legacy. I can guarantee you 100% that the first thing they would think of has nothing to do with transphobia, because there are trans characters in the game. There are there are actually several LGBTQ references in the game. And for me, they feel natural. They don't feel forced. It's not patronizing. It's just and not only that, not just that, there's also just diversity via race as well. Diverse races, diverse genders, diverse, sexual orientation and designation. So I'm judging Hogwarts Legacy by Hogwarts Legacy, how it's made and executed. And to me, there is no notion of transphobia in there, and therefore I think it's okay for me to enjoy the game. That's my rant. Going forward, when I talk about this game, like, just listen to episode 170, okay? Yes, I've been playing Hogwarts Legacy. I love this game. It is gorgeous. I'm playing on fidelity mode. Um, it is overwhelming, but in a good way. I took a screenshot of a hippogriff flying, like during a cutscene. The details of the feathers on this creature, every single brick of the castle, it is absolutely gorgeous. You could tell that these people put the love and time and care into this game. And I do believe that it is so fun and well made that a Harry Potter fan can play it and enjoy it, and a non-Harry Potter fan, someone who doesn't know a damn thing about the franchise, can actually play this game and still enjoy themselves because it's just well structured.
I would actually argue that this game is actually a great door opening into the wizarding world. Because like you don't have to know anything, right? It's got like there's definitely little like Easter eggs in here, and it's like, oh well, this character is obviously related to somebody from this timeline or whatever, and the castle is painstakingly like accurate to the to the movie castle. Like it's insane how crazy accurate it is. Uh, but yeah, I mean, like Stephanie said, if you don't know anything about Harry Potter, this is actually like a gateway into the world, and it does a great job of explaining things to you, but not like, oh well, over like really over explaining everything to you. And
Hmm.
yeah, Stephanie, you're playing on PlayStation, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm playing on Xbox Series X with Infidelity ray tracing mode,
Uh,
and man, I probably played the first 10 hours in performance mode. And it was running at an uncapped 60, so I was getting anywhere between 60 and 80 frames a second, and it was really smooth. But then I turned on because I hadn't seen it in fidelity and ray tracing mode. I'm still getting between 40 and 50 frames a second in fidelity ray tracing mode, and it is night and day the difference in graphical fidelity. Like just the god rays coming through the windows in the halls and going outside, and just it's one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Like the character models are not the greatest character models I've ever seen, but everything else, the world, the details, the castle, Hogsmeade, the little towns that you go to do little side quests, and it's just like, oh my gosh, there was a lot of a lot of care put into this game.
yeah, and the UI, I think they've done a good job. It's the control scheme and everything is pretty intuitive. The only thing that I wish, and I really don't know if they could have done it better, is you assign your spells to spell slots. Like on the
Hmm.
PlayStation, you'd hit like the right control thing and then R2 and you select. But
Hmm.
you there's spells that you use in the room of requirement, and then there's spells for everything else, like for
Hmm.
battling and stuff. And I'm
Hmm.
always like rearranging everything because I have so many
Yeah.
limited slots. It's like 4 and 4 and 4. I don't know if anyone can understand what the hell I'm talking
Yeah,
about, but
I
Corey,
do.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's a it's a me nitpicking kind of complaint because, oh,
Hmm.
what's the big deal? Just remapping things once in a while, but you know.
Yeah. My other complaint actually has to do with the controls too a little bit, where like right or R2 is like just tapping it like is your
Mhm.
basic attack, and then
Yeah.
you have to hold it down to choose one of your face button attacks.
Mhm.
And then the left trigger or L2 is like a traditional third person shooter where like it like an aim down sights
Oh,
type thing. I actually wish the left trigger brought up your spells to use, and then instead of zoom in, because it has such an easy lock on mechanic already
mm.
that I feel like
Oh,
the aim
mhm.
down sights is kind of pointless.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish that was different, but other than that, like I don't know. I think the game controls really well. I actually like the movement in the game, and that's something that it when I play a game like I would say something like Uncharted or Tomb Raider, like the movement it kind of feels a little tanky. Gears especially feels kind of tanky, right? But this like is the movement is pretty fluid.
It is. And flying, oh my goodness.
Hmm.
I really feel
Although
like I'm flying.
I had to switch my flight controls to inverted
Oh,
because it
really?
kept throwing me off, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they better just have basic flight controls in here that you can switch and not everything else because I don't want to have to keep switching." Thank God they have flight controls. That's all I gotta say.
So
What?
yeah, that's I'm about halfway through the game because we've got a special book club thing that we were in the making.
Yeah.
And I think, let me see, I'm trying to think. So Last of Us, Hogwarts Legacy, Minish Cap, quick sidebar. My son's followed in my footsteps about liking Zelda because he's watched me play Ocarina of Time, and
Mm.
I told him like a lot of the older Zelda games are out now, but all he wanted to watch was me play Skyward Sword, and I begged him, "Please, no. Please, no," because I just stopped the game. I mean, I beat it before, but the last run that I played when I got the HD for Switch was like I was 3/4 the way through and I just stopped. I just stopped caring because that's when the game got too long for me. Um, and we had to like do like not like break 10 targets in a minute on the loft wing, and the
Hmm.
motion controls are on, and he was insisting he play. I'm like, dude, listen, you you can play some video games, but you're not ready for motion controls, man. And I just got a migraine with the half hour that we played Skyward Sword, and I feel bad, but it's just not my favorite Zelda game.
You know what you should have done when he asked you to play Skyward Sword? You should have brought over a garbage bin and started banging on the lid and said, "This is Skyward Sword because it's trash."
Oh.
Dad
um,
jokes. You guys know
Last
that
but
one.
not
That's free.
least, I played the Sea of Stars demo. Very good.
Yeah, I downloaded it. I haven't had a chance to play it because
So much.
I've been trying to get to the point for Hogwarts Legacy book club that I've been so head down in that game, and like I feel like all I've been doing with my life is playing that game. And then in our group chat for book club, I'm like, "Hey, at least try to get through the first trial." Which the trials are cool, by the way. They kind of remind me of like Zelda dungeons a little bit,
Yeah.
and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I'm past there, past there." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm like halfway through this one." It's fine
What
though.
are y'all leaning towards as far as like good or bad? You into the dark arts, or were y'all choosing y'all's path on the game?
Oh, I'm goody two shoe person. I so it's funny because like the characters you think are going to be bad actually might not be as bad as you think they are, and I think there's going to be some sort of
Twist.
if you're into Harry Potter, you kind of know kind of what houses represent what kind of person, and
Hmm.
like they're playing with your mind a little bit on certain characters in the game, and um, I'm a Hufflepuff.
I was about to say, what houses are y'all in? Yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Yeah, I'm a
I'm
Hufflepuff.
a Ravenclaw.
Ooh. So you have different side missions than I do.
That's cool. The fact
Yeah.
that they're different side missions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually am pretty chummy with that Slytherin kid, so I hope like he doesn't turn out to
Mhm.
be a jerk. But so far
Yeah.
he seems really cool.
That's that's the character I think is like he kind of is playing it tough, but I think he's going to turn around and have like a heart of gold, right?
Yeah.
That's yeah. Well, I mean for me, we already kind of talked about all the games I was playing. I'm Hogwarts Legacy and Metroid Prime. So we'll move on to topics finally. That was yeah, man, we had some good discussions about new games though. I like talking about games instead of not that
Well,
I don't like the topics, but
it's good that it was because there are periods when we're currently like working on a game that we've playing for weeks. So whenever it's time to say what we've been playing, we're like, oh, we're still playing this. But
yeah,
every once in a while, we get weeks like this where we get to talk about new stuff, and I
yeah,
really don't mind it because it's a lot of fun.
we're actually gonna have to cut a topic, which I'm kind of excited for.
What?
Yeah, uh, Laron, you brought a
Mhm.
topic. We're gonna do your topic first.
Okay.
So,
All right. All right. You want me to cue it up?
yep, you cue it up.
All right. Basically, this week, I want to do something a little more lighthearted because, like, I mean, we just had like the big transphobia discussion with Hogwarts Legacy, so we need to like take it into a completely different direction. This week, I want to talk about what is your quote unquote comfort genre of game or games to play. Basically, as gamers, we typically have a go-to game that we will play just to scratch the itch. Like for me, like it's usually one of the Mega Man games, like Mega Man 2 or 3. I'll scratch the itch, or just I need to play something, but I don't want to have commitment or cure my boredom or whatnot. But there always seems to be a type of genre that basically is kind of like your digital ID, as far as gaming goes, whether that be shooters, platformers, puzzlers, beat 'em up games. Like, there's so many genres out there. Dad games, for guys like Stoy who loves like Power Wash Simulator and stuff like that. You know,
Rogue
so
likes, Zelda likes, all the new likes.
yeah, yeah. So basically, my question tonight is, what is your preferred genre of game that is basically the hallmark of, like, if you were to give us a tour of your gaming library, what will we see to be like, oh, he's one of those gamers?
Does Destiny count?
Yes, Destiny counts. Well,
Oh man. So yeah, man, we're gonna talk about Destiny a little bit for my topic, but so Destiny is the game, that's the comfort game, right? If I don't know what I want to play, that's the game I turn on. I'll
uh-huh.
go through, shoot stuff, run strikes, level up, all that stuff. But my library is actually mostly full of third-person action games. Like, here are my favorite games, and tell me if I have a genre. Okay, Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn, Tomb Raider, Uncharted. Uh, like those are the types of games that I really, really, really
Sounds like
enjoy.
you're in open world games.
Yeah,
Mm.
well,
Like action adventure.
yeah, Tomb Raider and Uncharted are not very open world.
Yeah, they're more sandboxy, but the other ones you named are open world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Horizon's more of like the Far Cry formula. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, another one that I was a comfort game for a long time. I like the third person action adventure games and with a little bit of an RPG element. That's just a comfort for me. Uh, I feel like I just know what I'm doing in those games. I like being able to see my character. I like to be able to have some sort of really action packed combat system that's easy to understand, but you can manipulate in a way that kind of goes to your play style, right? Like Horizon is a good example of like, oh well, obviously the basic mechanic is a bow and arrow, but like you can be stealthy and you can use the certain type of arrows to knock the dinosaur armor off, or you can set traps, or you can kind of use the basic arrows to perform headshots on smaller robots, right? Like it's I like the choice, but I also like the simplicity. And they're also pretty, I would say, story driven, but not so overly complicated. I think that's why I like Hogwarts Legacy also, because it's basically a third person action adventure open world game. But yeah, but then there's games like Destiny, and I've actually been playing a little bit of Halo lately too, multiplayer, uh, just because it's kind of fun. Uh, so I guess shooters too, but I wouldn't really call myself like a first person shooter guy. I just like Destiny and Halo, like they just comfortable to play.
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Who's next?
Yeah. Who's next?
I mean, I don't want to go in front of the guest, and I mean, if you want to go, Chris, or I can go if you still need
Yeah,
time.
it's no problem. It's no problem. Yeah, so first of all, that's a good question, but if I could sum it up, I figured that I really like competitive games. So if it's some type of competition, no matter the genre, then it's like I'm down to play. I think it kind of goes along with the whole my time is cut up between my kids. So quick games, quick matches, anything like that, it's like I'll play basically the games that are co-ops. So, when I do get to play, I try to play with my friends, whether it be sports games, shoot games, Fortnite, anything that we can, talk, get on the mic and talk. That's what I like to do. So I think that's where I get most of my comfort from.
Did you get those? Did you get that LeBron and Patrick Mahomes skin in Fortnite this weekend?
I did not. I already had a LeBron skin. I'm kind of stuck on uh I'm a big My Hero Academia
Okay.
fan, so I'm stuck on having All Might as my skin. I don't really want to put it up yet.
Yeah, so I wasn't that into Fortnite. I'm still not. I wouldn't say I'm like really into Fortnite, but like when my nephews come over, I'm like, that's really all they want to play with me, and I'm like, okay, well, if I'm gonna play with you, I gotta at least look cool. So I got a couple of the skins, right? Like I did get the LeBron one this weekend, which was good because I bought it 3 hours before the store refreshed, and then it was gone. I
It's
was like,
gone.
oh, well,
Yeah.
that's cool. Uh,
I mean,
so yeah,
Fortnite is fun. Like I stopped playing it for a period of time because it was like people talk so much shit about Fortnite. But then I got back on. I'm like, no, this is like it's just pointless fun. Like there's
yeah.
nothing to hate about. I like all the
Yeah.
customizations. I like so like one of my favorite movies is Ready Player One, and I like the aspect of going into a world and having your own. I wish you could do more in Fortnite,
Hmm.
kind of like a Grand Theft Auto type
Yeah.
situation. But I mean, I just like that customization that they incorporate all those IPs in. It's dope.
It's crazy how like all the crossovers are just it's nuts. We on on Nintendo Power we lovingly call it the Smash Brothers of everything else.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's cool. I bought a few things. I bought the Giannis skin because I really like NBA 2K, and I'm like, well, Giannis is awesome, so I'm just gonna buy that. Man, it's so cool because he has this helmet, and like as you gain kills, it like starts electrifying, and his whole armor set starts electrifying, and it's super
I
cool.
haven't seen that.
Oh man, it's so cool.
Yeah, it's dope. Just like I said, I have an All Might skin, and then it's like a whole anime thing I have. I just realized, but like I have Master Roshi's turtle shell on All Might, and I have like Goku's staff. That's like the breaker. So I just like that you can just do all that and like make some things that you would never see in real life.
Yeah, yeah. Fortnite, man. I don't know. I don't care if you like it or hate it. They're doing something. That game is doing something.
Mm-hmm.
So,
All right. Well, for me, I kind of a two-parter because when I was younger, one of my comfort games is in a genre that I normally do not play. So I think it just was the game itself versus the genre, and that was Harvest Moon 64. Um, it was my first ever farming sim type game. Other than, and before that for Sims games, it was The Sims. There was just something so peaceful and relaxing about this cute little chibi figure that you are, and you just mind your own business and have a farm, and like random stuff can happen to you because every time I replay it, like different things happen. And then I'm always like, oh, I got to get myself a wife. I'm going to give her a bunch of apples and she's going to fall in love with me. Like just stupid stuff like that. And it's very calming. Um, However, like it was the first experience because Harvest Moons after that really didn't have that same magic for me. Um, but overall, I think the bulk of my games, the genre that's the salt of my earth is kind of like Corey's, where it's basically any 3D action adventure game. And I know that's a very broad subject, but um, all the 3D Zeldas are action adventure. Zelda is kind of my mainstay. I love games like Red Dead 2. I like The Last of Us. I don't know. Like, I can't think of anything like it. I don't know. I'm just kind of stumbling over myself. But there's just something about being able to maneuver in a 3D world and a story with a strong narrative. If there's a story that can pull me in, that's kind of where I'm in my comfortable safe space. I don't know how else to say it, but it just needs to have a good story, and that's probably another reason why I also like Hogwarts Legacy. Right? Again, like Corey said, 3D action adventure. You're trying to figure out some things, and I'm just getting lost in a world. So,
yeah.
Well, my answer is about to blow y'all's minds because I know y'all are probably already thinking, "Oh, it's
Monster
Monster
Hunter.
Hunter." It's
Mm,
not. It's
What?
not.
it's
Uh, I
Pokemon.
l- I I absolutely love. My biggest time sink is rhythm games. It doesn't matter if it's Dance
Really?
Dance Revolution. It doesn't matter if it's DJ Max. It doesn't matter if it's Luminous. It does not matter. Rhythm games are my thing. Like I've messed around from all from Guitar Hero to Samba de Amigo, which by the way is coming back on the Switch. Stuff like that. Like I love rhythm games, and the cool thing about rhythm games is when sometimes I'm in an absolute funk, like number one thing for sure, you mix gaming and music together, and I'm there. Like I already like video game music as it is. Like I have tons of soundtracks in my music collection and stuff like that. So an interactive music experience is like the way for me to go. And the cool thing about it is like you can just pick up a quick game, play like 3 songs, and be done. And like your endorphins are just up there. Or you can just sink like 2 hours into it, waste like half your afternoon playing it, because you're playing music and because like you can, you get in the rhythm and the groove and stuff like that, man. That's my thing. And I will I will just as quickly pick up a rhythm game as I will a Monster Hunter game or a Mega Man game or a Ghosts and Goblins game or an Uncharted game or a Mass Effect game or a Metroid game. I will pick a rhythm game up just as fast, if not faster.
Wow. All right.
I see. I think my problem is I play so many random things. I feel like everything I play are my comfort games. It's like, because I'm only picking the things that I know I'm gonna have fun with, the things that aren't going to stress me out, the things I can just control. So it's hard for me to answer questions like that, because like I play like so many random things. I can't even put it down to one genre, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I hear
Yeah.
you. It's you know, because ultimately in the day, like I want my gaming just to be able to provide me some joy and like some satisfaction, and that's really like my thing. So yeah, like and rhythm games, like it strikes that perfect balance. Like Tetris Effect. A Tetris Effect is an experience because like it's more ambient music, but man,
Tetris
it's
Effect
some
is
good stuff.
amazing. Oh
It's
my
some good
gosh.
stuff. And speaking of like music and stuff like that, like man, like playing the Metroid Prime remaster really makes me appreciate the soundtrack for that game, because like another game that has music where like it's all ambient, but at the same time like it keeps you invested in the game itself.
Man, Tetris Effect. Tetris is another comfort game for me too, where like
Mhm.
if I'm laying in bed and I just can't fall asleep, I'll just play Tetris for like a half hour and it'll just kind of like, you know.
Is there like an online head-to-head mode?
I mean, there's
And
Tetris 99 still. And
well, I
then
mean, I know that's chaotic as far as I'm concerned, and
I mean, there's still
my boyfriend, my boyfriend and I, we compete too much in that. Like like one weekend I got into the top 11, and he battled the rest of the weekend to try and one up me, and he got into the top 8, and I cannot catch
Wow.
him now.
wow.
Wow.
And 8.
Man, Tetris, man. Tetris is
Well,
awesome.
my excuse is I'm old. Like the blades aren't as sharp anymore compared to him, who's 12 years younger than I am.
Well, you should date it older so their reflexes are off. That's your fault.
Look at you being ageist.
I know. I'm awful. It's fine. Cool, man. Tetris, what a game. All right, so we'll move into our last topic. We'll make it quick, just because we're running over on time a little bit. But my topic is trailers that get you excited or get you hyped, because
Mm.
so Destiny kind of they had an in-game cinematic. It was the epilogue to the season, but also played as a prologue to the next expansion. And for people who have been following Destiny for a long time, the original kind of shot of Destiny, and I think everybody who's even remotely familiar with Destiny knows the white orb that floats above the earth called the Traveler, and you just see Earth at the bottom of the image, and then you just see the white ball. It kind of looks like the moon, but it's not, and it's kind of floating above the Earth. But we've never actually seen that shot in Destiny, and I'm about to spoil Destiny for anybody. Although by the time this hits free feeds, the new expansion will have been out for a couple days, so you should have already played it. I'm just saying.
Thanks, you jerk.
The end cinematic, man, of this season. So the Traveler starts. So the whole point of the season is like we're rebuilding the old Russian war mine Rasputin to try to help us fight the pyramid ships that are coming to invade Earth. And it's kind of like a Mass Effect Reaper situation, LeRon. Just kind of put it in a perspective for you. And they're coming, and the Traveler is the light that's going to protect humanity and the last city and everybody who resides there. Well, the pyramid ships are coming, and the Witness is coming. The Witness is kind of like the big bad of the game now, and the Traveler starts glowing, and everybody comes out of the tower, which is like the social space, but all the NPCs that we've all known, all of the characters that we've known over the last 8 or 9 years of this game being out, they show the original Guardians with the original armor sets that they used in promotional materials, like all these little beats of people who have been playing since Alpha, Destiny 1 Alpha. And between kind of the Warmind kind of has like a AI body that we've been interacting with this season, it realizes that it needs to die for humanity to succeed. So you're watching this epic kind of like self-sacrifice of this AI war mind versus this group of people over here doing something versus the bad guy from the last expansion over here doing something. And it's like all these things coming together. And then the traveler lights up and you see it leave the city and hover. And the last shot of the trailer is just the first promotional shot of Destiny ever. And then it fades to black and it says the beginning of the end.
Ooh, that's clever.
That's why you're so hype. That's
like,
why, because you've been there since the beginning.
Yeah, I played Destiny. I played the D1 alpha. I've been playing ever since then. You know, at various degrees of obsession. But like just that shot and all of the characters and seeing the armor from the like some of the guardians they showed were characters from the character creator. When you're selecting your class, they showed that armor set, which we've never had in the game really either. And it's like it for people who love Destiny, this epilogue was like insane, full of Easter eggs and love and care and shout outs to the community, and it just this epic shot of the traveler floating above the earth, and then it fades to black and it says the beginning of the end. And they've come out and said that they are kind of with Lightfall and the Final Shape, they're inspired by Infinity War and Endgame kind of setup.
Oh.
And we're kind of having our Avengers moment of bringing heroes from other races together to kind of fight the darkness. It's happening. It's like really happening. And we didn't know if it was really going to happen or not, but it's happening. And so we're on our way to Neptune to find the Cloud Striders, and we're getting a new subclass. And I want to know what kind of trailers got you really hyped for something either coming or maybe an expansion to something or maybe a new game.
I was going to say, are they the current ones that we're looking forward to, or can they be any historical trailers?
Anything, and either one.
Okay. Right, LeRon, you were going to say something?
Since you're talking about Destiny, like back when Monster Hunter World Iceborne was happening, when the final DLC event for Monster Hunter World Iceborne was the return of a monster from the original Monster Hunter game. And even though we'd already seen this monster, in action in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, like it was a joy to see it back. Like it was Fatalis. Fatalis was like the black dragon from the very first Monster Hunter game. The only way you could play Fatalis was you could only play it online, which means you had to play in the multiplayer environment. So you couldn't even play it offline. So it was an event, and it was a quest that took place across 4 missions, because the missions were time sensitive. Like you only had 15 minutes to fight this thing. Stuff like that. So that was back in the old Monster Hunter 1 days. But now we get the Monster Hunter World Iceborne, which is Monster Hunter 5.5, if that makes sense. Well, not 5.5, Monster Hunter 5.2, because Monster Hunter Rise is part of the 5th generation of Monster Hunter, so Monster Hunter Rise technically is 5.5. But yeah, so Fatalis starts getting mentioned in all these whispers and all this stuff, and man, like Capcom made an event out of it. Like their world's lore changed. Like you talk to non-player and you talk to NPCs in the game, and even the ones that are so vague, were like they're hinting at this is Fatalis they're talking about and stuff like that. Then a trailer finally drops and we see it for the first time, and it's like, oh, we're getting a brand new map that is new for Monster Hunter World, but is familiar for people who played the original Monster Hunter game. And it was wild. Like Fatalis comes back. He has a new moveset. He does all sorts of things. The battle is different and is unique. And instead of being like completely, you can now play it online or offline, so it doesn't matter. You're not gated behind like multiplayer or single player now. But also just the familiarity, but all the new stuff. It was insane. It was insane. Like, man, like so that's one that I know for sure got me hype. The Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake trailers, so much hype. And we're talking about remakes, might as well throw Dead Space in there, because oh my god, like I was like, take my money, please, like when they tried these out, like what's some other ones I can think of? Mega Man 11's trailer, man, I was not ready for that. I was not ready for that.
I think the
And
Mass Effect
shoot,
2 trailer was pretty good.
the Mass Effect 2 trailer was good, but the Mass Effect Legendary Edition trailer like blew the whole Mass Effect thing out of the water. Like it was crazy that like EA of all people was like, well, we know we already gave you like these games bundled in a collection way back on the Xbox 360 and PS3 days, but guess what? We're gonna do it again for the next gen.
Yeah.
It's too much. It was too much. I can go on. I'm a freaking nerd. I can go on. Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, which yes, I finally pre-ordered the game. I know Nintendo's gonna step on my nuts one more time with this game. I know it's not. I have a funny feeling it's not coming out on a date that they said it was coming out. I have a funny feeling, but honestly, nostalgic stuff is always going to get me super hyped and stuff like that. Because y'all know me, I'm pretty Corey, you and Stephanie, y'all know me. I'm pretty cynical. Like I look at these trailers sometimes, I was like, I'll wait for a review. I'll wait for Metacritic, and stuff like that, because like some of these games are too good to be true. Like let's look at all the games that were like spectacular in trailers and were so lackluster, when they got here and stuff like that. So I've become a cynic in my 47 years.
It's hilarious. Oh no.
No. She's muted.
Oh, I'm not muted.
No, you were saying something. We could barely hear you
because my microphone was up.
Ah.
For being a grumpy old man. That's all.
Oh, here we go.
The only so it's not going to be as good as y'all. Y'all got great explanations. But the only trailer that I got hype about recently was Tekken 8.
That's a good one to get hype about.
Yeah,
that's a good one to get hype about, though. Like I'm a Tekken player.
Yeah, that's the one that stood out to me. I'm ready for it. Customization, the new graphics, the controls. I feel like it's going to be a dope game.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that because I forgot about this one. And I mean, Tekken 8 was great, but I think because it's been a while since I've been playing fighting games, because my cousin, who is a game dev and specializes in fighting mechanics, beats the crap out of all of us. So we never want to play with him. Is Street Fighter 6. Like I'm actually, that's making me want to dive back in there.
Hey, remember when he was on the show with us and I was like, oh, you count frames, don't you? Remember?
Yes. And he's like, I do. I'm like, this is why I don't bother fighting him. I just don't. Like
you count frames.
I already lost. All right, please.
Frame counters get on my nerves, and I feel like I should be a frame counter as much as I play fighting games, but I am not. I feel like that's too dorky for me to be doing. I just want to play the game.
Yeah. Well, mine should not be a surprise when I say Zelda, but I don't know if you're thinking of the trailer. It's not any of the Tears of the Kingdom trailer. It's that 2016.
It's that first one they showed for Breath of the Wild.
I don't know if it's the first one. It's the story trailer. Because I'm telling you, the first time I watched it, I'm pretty sure I almost cried, which I usually am not a crier when it comes to trailers. If I were to watch it like right now after this podcast ends, I would still get goosebumps, even though Breath of the Wild has already come and gone. There's something about that trailer, the way the music crescendos and the voice, like the voices in there. One of the most powerful trailers that will never fail to move me for whatever weird freaking reason. And then in a less dramatic way, but it'll always stick with me and got me to purchase the game, even though I don't do roguelikes, is Dead Cells. I love their Dead Cells animated trailer. It was so flippin' hilarious and cheeky that I'm like, I'm going to play this game. And they kind of went with that similar style of a trailer sort of for the Castlevania DLC, which is kind of, again, piquing my interest. I like, trailers weren't always really a big deal back then, but nowadays it's such like a big cinematic, thing. But as long as the trailers are clever, so that's why Dead Cells is memorable for me and Breath of the Wild story trailer is most memorable for me.
Yeah, that speaking of Breath of the Wild, that first trailer that they showed, 2014 15, 14 now at this point, of like they were showing him in the field, right? Link in the field, and they were like, "Oh, look at the grass wave," and then all of a sudden you see this explosion, and then you just see Link take off on the horse and the Guardian chasing him, and like we didn't know what any of that was at that time, but then they showed Link but backflip off the horse and pull out a bow and arrow, and like the arrow starts transforming. Like I was like, what is this, a Transformers game? Like I thought I was watching like some sort of slow-mo Michael Bay Optimus Prime unfolding here, but like, and then there was a lot of questions. Is that Link? Is Link a girl because he had longer hair? And like, you know, obviously the game became what it became, and it's a great game, but like that was the first time we saw like, okay, this Zelda's going to be different from everything we've seen before. And that trailer was awesome. Man, that trailer was so cool.
I really love what the video game industry has done with trailers. I don't think it's necessary, but I welcome it with open arms. It definitely helps with hype.
Yeah. Well, guys, we did it. We did a show.
We did the thing.
We did. Chris, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Do you want to tell people where they can find you, where they can find your stuff? We'll definitely be promoting it, obviously, with the show and then beyond.
Yeah, for sure. Phorce Davis, everywhere. PHORCE DAVIS, and Black Gamer League. Same thing. It's Black is BLK, and then Gamer League. You know, I appreciate y'all having me on. I love being around the serious gamers, so I can get my tips on what to play next. So I'm about to go ahead and try to get on this Monster Hunter. So I can come back and join in on the conversation. But I really appreciate y'all's time. Love what y'all are doing, and thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man. Anytime you want to come back, you have an open seat here. It was awesome.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for spending with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. You can follow us at Boss Rush Podcast. Check out our YouTube channel, our website, bossrush.net. And thank everybody for watching. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
The Boss Rush Podcast is a product of Boss Rush Media, LLC, and is recorded from our headquarters in Akron, Ohio. This show is produced, written, and directed by me, Corey Dirrig. My co-hosts are Stephanie Klimov, LeRon Dawkins, and Edward Barnell. You can find Stephanie at Klimov_author on Twitter and Instagram, as well as on the EXPcast. You can find LeRon at Exodus803 on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube, and also on Crossroads, the video game podcast. You can find Edward at ThatRetroCode on Twitter and Instagram, as well as hosting Nintendo Powblock. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at IamCoreyInHD, and find me hosting Tower Casual's The Destiny Podcast and co-hosting Nintendo Powblock. Find the Boss Rush Podcast on all social media platforms at Boss Rush Podcast. You can also follow Boss Rush Media and Boss Rush Network on all major social media platforms. Join the Boss Rush Network Discord and Facebook groups to interact with other friends and fans. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.